All right, so this is what I would do if I started copywriting in 2025. Okay, and this is after me making millions doing this with the skill writing over the last 4 years. And if you don't believe me, I have literally a whole 12-hour course on YouTube that's completely free that shows you exactly how to do this. Okay, but the reason I'm making this video for you right now is because I want to show you exactly, step by step, the actual path I would take so that you could literally just like copy me rather than spending like thousands of hours doing this by yourself. Okay, right? And this is only for people that can actually like sit down and physically watch an hour-long video, because at the end of this video you'll actually understand why most people watching this video, even if they've gotten into copywriting at all, right, they're probably not going to get results because they just suck. Okay, they just absolutely can't even sit through one video. All right, and in this video I want to show you exactly what I did, right, to make $2.3 million in the last year or so, and what I did to make my first $1,000 copywriting, and how you could do this pretty fast, right? Because it doesn't take that long to make money online. Like, it really doesn't take that long, okay? If you can write at a third grade level English, right, and you've actually had a class in English before, right, and you know how to open a Google Doc, okay, and you know how to communicate with words, and if you live anywhere in the world, and if you're any age watching this video, you can make money with copywriting, right? And that's because the main fundamental skill behind copywriting is writing, right? Most people, the big problem that most people make is that they try to pick some nice, cool, shiny video or shiny business model or shiny career path, when realistically the boring stuff is what makes all the money, right? Like, for example, there's so many boring businesses out there. Like, think about this. Think about how much a trash company makes, right? Like a typical trash company, right? Everyone needs their trash taken. Okay, everyone just needs it, right? It's a very profitable, high margin business because everybody needs it. Okay, they get paid by HOAs and they have contracts, and like, that's a very valuable business because it's boring, right? Like, writing, honestly, it's not the most fun thing in the world, but for writing some words in a Google Doc, you can get paid $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, right? And you can make millions with this one skill set, right? If you do it like I did it in the last year or so, okay? I'm going to show you what I did to kind of get started with this skill set, okay? And then I'm going to show you like what I did to kind of progress up the ladder. And then I'm going to show you like what I did to make millions with this skill set, okay? Because all it is taking writing, right? And then you can add some stuff onto it, right? Over here, right? And these accessories with this core writing skill set is what will make you all the money, okay? And because writing is like the best thing you could possibly do in your life, in my opinion, right? Because if you write every day, it's easy to organize your thoughts. Like, for example, for me, I spent about 2 hours writing this morning, right? I like to sit down, I like to write so I can organize my thoughts, right? And I like to sit down, I like to write so I could build a business. I like to sit down and write so I can actually learn more about myself, right? One of the best ways to like get a quote, right, is to write a whole essay or something like that, pull one quote out of it, and then just delete the essay. Because you're just writing all of the thoughts, and you can structure your ideas and thoughts into writing. And you could use writing, you could use words, right, to get people to pay you money. One of the best, like what copywriting is, right? What copywriting is it's using words, right, to get people to pay you money, okay? That's actually what, if you add copywriting to this, like you look at copywriting or copywriter or best business model copywriting, like what that is they're simply using writing, words, right, to sell a physical or digital product. It's that simple. Okay? And if you can understand this concept, you'll actually be able to make money with this because you understand that people are just using words to get people's attention to buy stuff, right? I'm going to give you some examples, right? So what even is copywriting? It's all over, right? I've spent so many hours copywriting. I've spent so many hours writing to get people to pay me money, right? Like for example, ads you see on Instagram, right? You're scrolling through Instagram, you see a video. That video is super annoying, it's loud, and then it gets your attention and maybe gets you to buy a product. The words behind that video are copywriting, right? The words behind it are writing that somebody wrote, right? They got paid to write good copy, okay? They got paid to write. All right, a billboard. You see it driving down the highway. I could be driving down the road next to my house and I could be like, oh, look at this advertisement. Someone lost their dog, right? Lost dog. Like that's copywriting. They're trying to get people's attention. Hey, there's this lost dog. And if you find my dog, I'll give you $1,000. That's a real thing that happened down the street. It's just a whatever, right? There's the actual billboards, right? There's things you see in like cities. Like in cities, there's massive things on buildings. People get paid to write those things. And people actually get paid at the highest level. They get paid a ton of money to write those things, okay? Right? Like for example, there's like, you know, those fancy YouTubers, not like a channel like this, right? But fancy YouTubers who have like really put together scripts and fancy editing and stuff like that. The reason why some of those channels, like they're really good to watch for maybe beginners, but they feel like super inauthentic is because somebody else wrote those scripts, right? Like some of the biggest guys in the online business space, right? Or some of them even in the copywriting space that I know, right? They don't even write their own videos, right? They have a copywriter write their own videos. Okay, now you're starting to see the power of like what copywriting actually is. People get paid to write words for other people, right? And what I got paid to write words for was I got paid to write words to launch products, right? Like one of the clients that I'm working with right now, actually, he actually just made 50K within the last like week or so with Black Friday, right? And he paid me well over 5 figures to plan out that launch for him. I didn't even like write anything for him. I helped him write the copy. He got paid to write the copy, right? But I helped him plan it. I helped him plan it out. And if he did it precisely how I told him to write it, right? Using human psychology, I knew he was going to make money. And that's why he was willing to pay me. And that's why he was willing to, that's why the person he's partnered with, the client, was willing to pay him, right? Because he's helping that client make $50,000. Right? That's how this works, okay? You get paid to write words. I've gotten paid to write words for launches, right? For example, if you've ever seen like a free class before or a webinar or something like that, you sit on the webinar for hours and then you get pitched a product. I've written stuff like that, right? For example, when you get on someone's email list and they're pitching you stuff over their email list, like I've gotten paid to write stuff like that. Right? When you see, like, for example, maybe you've joined Discord servers, right? This is one of my favorite types of copy, right? And this is actually how I initially learned, is you join like a school community or a Discord server or a circle community, right? I've gotten paid to manage those communities, and I've actually gotten paid to keep those communities engaged and keep those communities paying, keep those communities, right, upselling, to buy more products, right? I got paid to write words to keep attention and convert that attention into even more money. I've gotten paid to book calls to sell high ticket services and products, right? $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 products. I've gotten paid to book calls for those products so that somebody who's lower leverage that doesn't know how to write gets on calls with these people and sells them the product, right? One step below knowing how to write to sell is actually knowing how to sell with your mouth, right? Like that's another part of what copywriting is, right? So if you get on like, for example, a Zoom call with somebody, right? You're getting on that Zoom call to buy a product. That person is, their whole entire job is to map out your current situation, to figure out what you need help with, the problem you need help with, right? So that they can solve it with their product. Like where you're at now, where you want to go, and then they pitch you their product to bridge that gap. That is what a salesperson does, right? But what copywriters do is they do that with words, okay? Now you're starting to think, and if you're still watching this video, this is good because you can actually ignore all the shiny object syndrome you have on regular YouTube. That stuff is stupid. Like, stop doing that. And you're already this far, so keep going. Right? But like what I'm saying here is you now understand the writing landscape. You understand that writing is a skill set that will get you paid a lot of money, right? But now it's extremely important that we go into why, like, I actually got paid way more than the people that are, there's people who are struggling over here on this side. They're struggling to get paid $20 to write like 10,000 words on like Fiverr, right? And then there's guys like me who barely write 2 to 3 hours a day, and I get paid millions of dollars, right? There's a big difference there, okay? And I'm gonna show you what that difference is right now. And it's an equation that I like to follow in business, all right? And this is the first approach that you have to take, all right? When you're getting into any type of business model, or even when you're starting a business, this is the only thing that matters, okay? My marker is starting to die, but this is the only thing that matters, okay? LTV times TAM, all right? Now what this stands for is LTV is the total amount of money that someone is willing to pay you, right? For example, I could say that if I'm working in the home service industry, that market cap is the amount of home service businesses that are available to me, okay? And then the amount of money that they have to pay me is the LTV, how much money is there, okay? And right here, LTV to TAM, where most people get mad, and what TAM is, my bad, what I got ahead of myself. What TAM is total addressable market. How many people are there, okay? How many people are in the market? How much are they willing to pay you, all right? And then you multiply the two. And you can identify what a total market cap is, right? You might see that in like crypto or stocks or something like that. You can see the total market cap. That's like the actual, it's almost like if you were to look at if this was the market, right? LTV to TAM is markets, little sub-markets within that market. And you might have seen this before if you've paid attention to like the stock market or something like that. You could see that there's markets within a market that are bigger or smaller, right? That's literally what it looks like. Now, the problem that most copywriters make that are getting traditional advice on YouTube, right, is they start off email copywriting, right? So they're already shrinking down their TAM to LTV. Like, that's only people who need emails, okay? That's a big problem, all right? That's a huge problem, right? Because if they don't need emails, you don't get paid, all right? Like, they're not gonna pay you money to write their emails if they don't need emails, right? Emails is like the one thing, like, it's only one thing of many things you could do for a client, okay? So you wanna think of TAM times LTV, okay? Now, the TAM of, for example, the traditional advice on YouTube is partner or get an e-commerce brand client and write emails for the e-commerce brand, all right? That's the traditional advice. Now, the problem with that is e-commerce is a small TAM. There's probably only 30 million e-commerce brands. I actually looked that up before I made this video, just for you, okay? And the LTV, I'm gonna be completely honest, is not that high. In my personal opinion, it's not that high. Simply because the profit margins for an e-commerce brand is extremely low, okay? That's just the bread and butter there. What I did is I got into a market that nobody else is really in right now, right? And nobody actually really understands. And I've been in this market for 4 years, and it's my favorite market. I love this market. It's the best market of all time. It is a new market called the creator economy, okay? And the TAM for the creator economy is 207 million. There are 207 million existing content creators. Now, listen to this. The reason why most people don't actually consider this niche good is because the LTV for one of these people, right, is like damn near zero. Because only like 1% of content creators actually make more than $50,000 a year, right? Now that's interesting. People are like ignoring this niche because it's all the content creators are broke. They have no money to pay you. But there's one thing these people are sleeping on, right? And it's a third layer to LTV, right? And it is a point of leverage is these people have content. And what content brings you is audience, right? And what audience brings us is attention. And attention in the new economy that we're participating in is the new oil, okay? Like years ago, we were in the industrial economy, right? And everything was about an industry and new employees and college and stuff like that. Now we're in the information economy. There's so much information out there. Why not just like work with somebody that already has all of that attention, already has their feet in the ground in the content economy. They have a lot of audience, right? And this audience right here wants to pay them money. Okay? The audience wants to pay them money, but they don't know how to monetize the audience. Why? Because the creator doesn't know how to use words to sell, right? It's very important. They don't know how to write copy to sell. And that's where copywriting is extremely valuable, because these content creators, yes, they know how to write copy to get attention, right? But the difference is copy to get attention, right? They know how to write words to get attention because they have their short form scripts, they have their YouTube scripts, they write to get attention. They might even have a newsletter. They know how to write to get attention. But these people don't know how to write to sell. And that's where you could come in and make a lot of money. And that's what I did to make a lot of money. I was working with people who knew how to get a lot of attention, right? Like millions and millions of views on Instagram and YouTube, right? And they had a lot of attention, but they didn't know how to monetize the audience. And there's a tangent to that. They don't have the time, right? Because they're spending all of their time on content. They don't have time to go fucking write a giant VSL. That's where you could come in and do different things for the client, right? That's where I get into my next point. I digress. Okay? My next point here is that the next thing you should consider after you consider LTV to TAM, right, is this one thing that most people sleep on. And it's called barrier to entry. Okay? Barrier to entry. This is like the actual barrier to getting into something. Like, for example, right, airport makes a lot of money. Like, we don't consider it, but airports make a ton of money. And Delta Airlines makes a ton of money. But the entry, right, so here's like our little beginner, right? The barrier to entry for someone to literally fucking buy a plane is that, right? That's insane. Like, you're looking up a wall, and it's probably like an infinitely high wall for a beginner. Like, if you're a beginner watching this video, chances are you're probably not considering buying an airplane and starting an airline company and figuring out all the software for that. That barrier to entry is extremely high. Yes, you can get paid a lot of money, but the barrier to entry is extremely high, okay? Now, the caveat to that is the next part is most people are like, okay, I'm a beginner, so I'm going to start with a lower barrier to entry. And that's where copywriting is good, because you only need to write words. However, if the barrier to entry is too low, where you could quite literally just step over the barrier, right? And everyone could do that if they have a slight teens of motivation, you're also not going to make money, because on the other side of this barrier to entry, there's thousands of people, okay? Just thousands of people competing with you on Fiverr or wherever, right? And they're just competing with you like crazy. This is the biggest thing people get wrong when they're trying to make money with copywriting, okay? And it's that the barrier to entry is very low, so that people can just hop over it, all right? That's the real. That's why most people don't make money. And honestly, most online business models is because they pick a business model where the barrier to entry is just literally too low. That's what happens. They pick it's too low. So the middle ground there is to literally come in here and find a barrier to entry that is a little bit too high. Like just a little bit, okay? You want to pick a difficult problem to solve. Okay, so you have the niche, right? For example, the content economy that we just talked about. That's the niche you're going to participate in. There's 207 million creators that need help monetizing, right? They need help making money, like fitness creators and all that good stuff, okay? Fitness creators that want to sell fitness coaching, or other health creators, wealth creators that want to help people make more money, right? Spirituality creators that want to help people find God. Like, there's all kinds of different things like that you can help them make money. They don't even understand. They're just making content for the AdSense, but they could be getting paid way more, because that's why businesses literally just like, I'm not even going to get into that. All right. But if you can pick a barrier to entry that's a little bit higher, right? What happens is most people just give up at that point. When in reality, to get more, so right now, you might have the skill writing, okay? Let's say you just have writing as a skill set, okay? Now, if the creator doesn't already have a business, they don't already have a digital product, right? You might have to learn how to build, right? What is that? What is building? Building is outlining a project and putting pieces together with that project to create a greater whole, right? For example, right, you can, like if a creator wants to sell an ebook, you might have to help them put together all of the pages for the ebook and help them outline the project. Now, this isn't completely your job, but it is your job. It would be your job to help them at least finish the product, right? And you're gonna have to have a little bit of knowledge in terms of building, okay? And then on top, instead of just writing, but that's where writing can also help, right? Now, the next thing is like, if it hasn't sold already before and you have never like sold a product before, you're gonna have to learn how to sell. But not only are you gonna have to learn how to sell, you're gonna have to learn how to launch, right? There's a specific way you write copy, you write words for a launch to get people to pay you money faster, right? I have a full launch strategy in my 12-hour course on YouTube, right? Where I show you this exact thing. It's a micro skill set within the overall skill set, right? But now we're starting to get a lot of hooks in the client, right? This is where it gets really interesting, right? The next part is like, for example, once you have people buying your stuff, you might have people asking for refunds and stuff. So you might have to do a little bit of support, right? Like, for example, people needing help with their products, you might have to do a little bit of support. And this is because the creator doesn't have a business, right? So there's a few micro skill sets around here. However, don't be afraid of this, right? Don't be afraid of this, because what happens here, where you are out-competing all other copywriters, is you're putting hooks. I guess that's not a good hook, right? You're putting hooks in the creator's mouth, essentially, like the client's mouth, right? If someone pays you $100 to write an email, they can find anyone else to do that. You're a commodity, right? But if you do this and you do multiple things for the client, right, you're not a commodity. They can't get rid of you, right? And the trick here is to take a percentage of the business, because they have no money to pay you. You take a percentage of the business and you start doing like almost everything for them, which is not a lot, right? Don't get afraid of that. Even though most of it's writing, it's not a lot of stuff, right? Like, it's like launching a digital product for a creator is probably the easiest thing you could ever do in your life. Like, you heavily underestimate that, okay? But if you get these hooks in the client, they can't leave you, right? Because if they decide to try to get someone else, their business is gonna burn to the ground. It's sticky, right? And that leads me into my next point, okay? When you are looking to pick a good business, this is what Warren Buffett, if you don't know who that is a multi-billionaire. And he is the richest man in the world, or one of the richest men in the world, because he knows how to pick really high potential businesses, right? And what he uses here is an equation called unique, expensive, sticky. I'm actually gonna say sticky air. All right, so he uses an equation called unique, expensive, sticky air, and you can almost like put this in a quadrant, right? Kind of like divide it, right? So this is what he uses to identify a business that actually has like high potential to make a lot of money. All right, and this is what you could use to identify a business model or a type of model that has high potential to make a lot of money. Like, first of all, first question is this unique, right? Is the thing I'm doing unique? How many other people are doing it, right? I'll be the one to tell you that not the reason why I've made so much money working with creators and taking a percentage is because not a lot of people are doing it. Because realistically, if you're that type of person, like only like one person could do it, right? At any given time per creator, right? That means there's the total competition has to exceed 207 million when all the other copywriters are focused on e-commerce. like it's great because they're all going this way, and that's when you can loop around and go over here, right? When everyone else is going through the maze, you could just go around it. That's a bar, right? So unique. Are you unique? Yes, you are extremely unique because nobody else is actually working with creators. And the best part is there's, I don't know what the stat is specifically, but there's thousands and thousands of new creators coming to the platform all the time. And that's because in the content economy, there's like billions of people scrolling their phones, willing to give their attention to them, right? And you can take that attention and make money with that attention, right? That's why this is unique, okay? The next part here is it expensive, right? That's a funny question, right? Because once you launch the product, like for example, the client that I'm working with, I won't say his name, right? But he made $50,000 for his client, right? With the writing the launch copy and putting the whole thing together, okay? That client, since he has a 30% rev share, that client now has to pay him, I believe, I don't know the math on that, I guess like over $20,000, because I think he had low ticket with that as well. So they probably made like $80,000. Just to round up, that client will probably pay him anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 in cash for one single month with that one client. I know that's hard to believe, hard to fathom, like you haven't even thought about that before. But I've had clients pay me over $100,000 in personal cash in a single month because I helped them monetize. Like a bank wire that said 100 grand to your bank, like in 1 month, okay? That's how this works. So it's extremely expensive, right? And we could also look on the flip side of that. So not only are you expensive, but your creator is expensive, right? Like for example, if you're selling a coaching, like if you have a good creator, right? You can sell, like for example, fitness coaching. You can sell someone, I've seen people sell fitness coaching for $3,000. I know that sounds impossible, but I've seen people sell fitness coaching for like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That's expensive, right? And that's how I've made a bit more money than other people writing words, is because the creator I was working with was expensive to work with, right? Not only was I expensive, but they were expensive because the audience saw value in that. And if you can identify that market opportunity, it's a win-win deal. It's a win for you to work with the creator, and the creator, it's a win for their audience because the audience is getting a big transformation, right? It's worth $3,000 to get a six-pack of abs for some people, right? And if you're working with a make money creator, like for example, if you're helping someone with investing, it's worth $5,000 to figure out how to make an extra $100,000 investing. It just makes sense, right? The next thing is sticky. Okay, we talked about this in the last point, but sticky means how many hooks do you have in the creator? If they pay you $100 to write an email and that's the only thing you do for them, like for example, I have someone who helps me with my thumbnails on YouTube. I pay them $70 a thumbnail, okay? If I need to find a better thumbnail designer, I can. There's a plethora of them, okay? Right? But like he easily loses a client because there's so many of them and he's only charging me for that one service, right? It would be a better idea for that person to just go grab another hook in me and say, hey, I'll help you with your ideation, or I'll help you with this, I'll help you with that, right? They're hooks, right? And that makes it sticky, okay? I've had like 2 or 3 clients. I've had 3 clients total over the 4 years that I've been doing this. And that's where I've made like all my money, and they just don't leave. Okay, and that's why, like, and I've made millions doing that, is because you can't, like, it just doesn't, you don't leave the partnership. It's like almost like a real partnership. You don't leave. I don't even see it as a client. I see it more as a partnership. Okay, but for your sake, I want you to see this as like your clients can become almost like a real business partner to you, that, and where you, instead of having like an agency where you have tons of clients, which is kind of stupid in my opinion, right? You could just go inside of someone's business and reap the benefits of that person's business. If that person's business is making hundreds of thousands of dollars, you could just plug a little tiny percentage in there and help them do a lot of stuff. That's the digital age of the digital economy, right? Like, for example, that's why you start to see like people are more fractionalized than ever before. Humans are not meant to be robots, right? We're not just supposed to do one skill, one task, one thing, and then we move on, right? We're meant to do multiple different things, right? So that we can actually progress. We're meant to do multiple things so we can actually have the people who make the most money in online business, right, have multiple skills. Not only are they really good at writing, which is my favorite skill, and I think it's the cornerstone, right, but they have a bunch of different other micro skill sets and accessory skills that help them actually produce cash in the content economy and the digital space, right? It's how people make money online. All right, the last thing is air. Okay, now this is the only thing. At first, you're gonna do a bit of work to help the client launch a product, but I'm not even gonna lie. After you launch the product and you kind of figure it out, the work feels like air. And what air means is there's like barely any work to do. Okay, and after you launch the product, you don't have to do that much more work because it's already going. And once it's already going, it's already compounding. And then all you have to do, the main thing that you do every day, is you might spend 2 to 3 hours a day in the morning writing, right? You're writing something for the client or for your clients, okay? And that's where it's air. And for the client, right, if they're selling a digital product, right, like for example, a $50 a month community or something like that, that's the force driver where like they sell one of those things, it doesn't take any more of the creator's time, so you can sell an infinite amount of those and they compound month over month, right? Like for example, it's the last point is leverage, okay? It's really important. It's what you get out for what you put in. I almost put this in every video, right? So the amount of work, you might spend an hour a week on a group call to help people with the community. And you might spend a few hours in the community a week or something, but you keep getting more out for what you put in because the more subscriptions you sell, they start stacking up and compounding, and then you make more and more money. For example, right, one of the first clients that I worked with, we had a $75 product and it was per month, right? Every single time I would sell one of those, it was great for me because that was like a bunch of Chipotle bowls and I was really happy because I was broke and I had a bunch of 9-to-5s, right? But eventually, as I started selling more products, I didn't have to trade my time, my 8 hours, for $80, right? I only needed to sell a $75 product. And then that $75 product paid me the next month, and it paid me the next month, and it paid me the next month. And I just kept selling more and more and more of those, right? And eventually, the monthly recurring revenue stacked up to like $150,000 per month, right? And I got paid over $100,000 for helping the client do that, right? And that client, the better yet, right, that client actually had business experience, so he taught me everything I needed to know to make millions of dollars with the next client, right? That was super important for me. That was pivotal. Okay, so to recap, unique. Are you unique? Are you expensive? Are you sticky? And does it not take a lot of work to fulfill? Okay, now the last thing that I'll tell you is that you need to lock in and actually do this. And the way I would suggest doing this is to actually come into it knowing that you're not just going to write one email for the client. Okay, you're not just going to you're not copywriter guy, right? Don't be copywriter guy. Don't be writer guy. Be you, right? This is the last final step that if you're watching this video, this is the last thing I can give you that if you implement this, you will make the most money out of everyone. The biggest problem is that everyone looks like each other. They're all copy and paste, right? Because they want the exact step-by-step path, right? But if you're watching this video, the biggest piece of advice that I could give you is be you. Literally be you, okay? Don't be copywriter guy. Be, if your name's Sam or Riley or I don't know what your name is, right? But be you, okay? Be the person, say that you do this for a client. Say that you did this for a client. And you're a unique person and nobody can take that away from you, right? Every bone in your body is going to try to force you to be copywriter guy, or it's going to force you to be, it's going to want you to self-identify with something bigger than yourself. But I promise you that you are bigger than yourself, right? Like you are bigger than you think, right? You're more powerful than you think. You have more skills than you think you do from childhood, right? You already know how to write. Just figure out how to sell. Learn human psychology, but be you. Humans are not robots, okay? Actually put this together and do the work, right? And if you're still watching this video, right, you can click right here or right here, and you can get access to the 12-hour course that I put together on this, and it's completely free. I'm not gonna pitch you a $997 course or something like that, right? It's dope, right? And it shows you how to do this entire thing. I'm not gonna break it down here because it's pretty long, okay? And yeah, I hope you actually use this, and I'll see you next time.